first episode of
Wright Stew.
Wright Stew.
First one. We've talked about it, right? You see these people do this, and you're like, this should be pretty easy. And Paul's a technical guy, so it should be really easy.
We're going to find out how easy it is.
Yeah, so it should be really easy, really easy.
But welcome to the Wright Stew podcast. I'm Paul Stewart.
And I'm Brian Wright.
We're going to talk about a few different things throughout the course of this, but the first one we're going to talk about, we're going to lean into what we know, what we love, baseball.
Yeah.
And recently the Hall of Fame ballot came out for, I guess, the 2025 class. And so we've had some discussions about it, but we've saved some of that for this and kind of wanted to talk through some of the candidates, some of our personal stories and interactions and what these guys were growing up. So some of these for me, so a little background. So I played 10 years of professional baseball, got drafted by the Brewers in 1996. 96 to 05, played in the minor leagues, got up to AAA. And Brian actually played a couple years as well in the minor leagues.
Yep. NC State guy, obviously. And obviously all these guys had great careers, right? And so I think the big thing is what distinguishes a good career, great career, or a Hall of Fame career. And I think that's gotten blurred as we've dealt with steroids, how we dealt with different people that are voting that may or may not.
Well, let's jump right into that. You said steroids.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got a couple people who are on the ballot now and haven't really gained momentum. So to be Hall of Fame eligible, 5 years removed from playing baseball.
Right.
And then you've got 10 years on the ballot.
Right. The
Baseball Writers Association votes for you. You've got they can vote for up to 10 players, but they don't have to vote for 10 players. They can vote for, if they think one candidate is worthy, they can vote for one candidate. So there's been some people who have fallen off the ballot: Roger Clemens, Barry Bonds, Kurt Schilling, I think for different reasons. But we've got a couple really, really notable guys on the ballot this year: Alex Rodriguez, and Hanley Ramirez. Arguably two of the greatest right-handed hitters
of all time
in baseball history.
Yeah, not even really debatable, and you can pull all the stats. And I think we're past. I think my opinion on it has honestly changed over the years, right? I mean, I think initially because we were in the middle of it, we were playing.
I was in the minor leagues during the heart of the steroid era.
You thought the guys, and I knew guys that were juicing. I knew guys that I thought were juicing that may or may not be. No. I can't remember names. A lot of them were Dominican guys that ended up being really good players, but you didn't never really know. And so my opinion on it has really changed. It's got to the point now where it has to be, if you played and your numbers matched up, because there were so many guys that were rumored to be on it, probably were on it. There were guys, all these guys faced pitchers that were on it. Yeah. They faced relievers that were on it. They faced, the people that they were going against for their awards, they were on it. So it's time to put that to bed. You can put an asterisk beside of it if you want, that drug testing was not implemented. Once drug testing was implemented, but clearly, Alex Rodriguez.
That's a fair point, right? Yeah. So by the letter of the law, steroids were legal in Major League Baseball.
Right.
Not legal anywhere else in the universe.
Right. Well, Mexico maybe.
In the known universe, yeah.
I mean, you can get them. I mean, the Dominican Republic, I feel like those guys are getting them really easily.
Yeah. But in Major League Baseball, unless you tested positive for a banned substance, you were not.
No. And so I would have to look back, but it seemed like, didn't they do they were going to do sample testing? And then that testing, and if there was more than 5% that tested positive, and so it was, then they went back and they had all the B tests and B samples, and obviously, that gets to one that has to be ultimately in the Hall of Fame at some point in time, or should be. It needs to be Barry Bonds. Giants need to re-sign him for one more day.
Well, he's done. He's done. 10 years.
But they need to sign him for one more day, sign him 1 day contract, extend his deal, restart the clock, because there's no reason. Here's the deal. There's no reason that Alex should get 34, Manny should get 32, and Barry be off this, because Barry, I think the writers didn't like him as much, the reporters didn't like him. I think that had an influence.
So a pitching coach I had for a few years in the minor leagues, Randy Kramer, played with Barry Bonds.
Yeah.
And he said one day Barry Bonds would put his arm around you and be a pal. The next day he would act like he'd never seen you in his life and hated your guts. So he said he was very just night and day. Again, that was secondhand interaction. I've never met Barry Bonds, but through a guy who actually played with him for a couple seasons, that was his that was his take. And you've heard a story about Barry Bonds as well, saying like, hey, why would I share my hitting tips?
Yeah. That was ultimately what I've heard him say in interviews and stuff, was talking about, hey, I'm not going to be with this guy long. Obviously, he grew up in baseball, right? So his dad, great player, Ron Willie Mays, his godfather, grew up in baseball. And so he realized really early on that this was a business. And really it's a business about self. And I'm here to make myself perform and do well, and ultimately when I do well, I'm going to help my team perform, but I'm not really here for anybody else, and I don't feel real good in sports.
And baseball is the ultimate individual team sport. When you're in the batter's box,
it's you versus pitcher.
It's you versus the pitcher, right? And the guys in the field, I guess, technically. Whereas, basketball, if somebody attacks you the ball, you're not getting the ball.
That's right.
In football, if the line doesn't block for you, you're getting smacked. Yeah,
right.
I mean, unless you're Barry Sanders, maybe.
Right.
But in baseball, if you're in the batter's box, it's you versus the pitcher. That's kind of it. You can do all the work, you can do everything you need to, but it's one-on-one at that point. So again, baseball is it's great in that way.
It's really it's really individual sport. I mean, that's the reason you don't have to have big team practice, and we put together these super teams. You can have an all-star team, and it's not really anything's really missing from that all-star team. It's not like you've got to put in plays, and but ultimately, Barry Bonds needs a one-day contract, needs to be back on this. There's no reason.
Okay, so clearly, and I'm in the same boat.
And if we're being honest, Andrew Jones, there are rumors there. I don't know.
So he's an interesting case. He came up at 19 years old,
right,
in 1996, and I remember watching him in the World Series because I was like a year or two younger than him. I was like, wow, this guy is
right.
Hit a couple home runs in one game of the World Series against the Yankees. They were up 2-0. I think that was the Jim Leyrit series when he ended up hitting some home runs and hit a couple big ones.
He's a no-brainer too. He's 8th year. He's a no-brainer too.
So he was 10-time Gold Glove winner. When you do all the advanced metrics about defensive coverage and sort of, he was the guy for a long, long time. And then if you look at his power numbers, right? He's one of the few guys. I think it's 400 bags and 400 stolen bases. It's like I got a couple of notes on here. It's like Willie Mays, him, and a couple of Mike Schmidt maybe.
He's a
few other guys. Let me bring up a name for you.
Okay.
And we've discussed this, Brian. Now, actually, I've got a quiz for you.
All right. I'm not great at these.
I know you're not. That's why I'm going to put you right on the spot.
If I can't cheat, I'm
going to put you right on the spot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sammy Sosa's a name we didn't throw out there.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's another one.
So I did some research on this. I would put his 1998 to 2003 statistics up against anybody of all time. So actually, I pulled greatest 5-year spans of home run totals.
Yeah, he's got that.
I got the top 10.
Okay.
I got the top 10 right here. Give me who you
number one.
And these guys are all guys you should, maybe one of them you would be a little rough.
5-year span.
One of them was really surprising to me. A 5-year span. Who are the top 10?
So obviously you go Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds is 1.
Obviously Sammy
is 2.
It's unbelievable that actually Barry is higher considering the 5-year span.
So Barry had 299 home runs from 2001 to 2005. Obviously 73 in 2001.
That's incredible.
Sammy Sosa from 98 to 02 had 269. Wow. So you got the top 2. The third one's right in the same.
Right in the same era. Is that Alex? Is he in?
Who's the guy? Who's Sammy Sosa? Who's he always correlated with?
Oh, Mark McGwire.
Mark McGwire's third.
That's another one that's
from
really...
96 to 2000, he hit 270.
I feel like those
Actually,
guys...
this is out of order, so he had a little more than Sammy.
I feel like these guys are getting punished for cheating better. Right? They already had great talent.
Yeah.
And that's when
McGwire set the rookie record for home runs in 87 with 40. But when he came up, he was long, lean.
Right.
Out of USC.
And so I kind of think that's the deal with Barry Bonds. I think he was naturally going to be a Hall of Famer. Going to be a 30 or 40 home run guy, steal bases. I mean, he created juice with that little skinny 180-pound body. And then he saw guys like Brady Anderson hit like 50 home runs one year. He saw these guys hit home runs that had no business being in the same, conversation as him. And he's like, dude, if I was doing that stuff too, I would hit 73 home runs.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so those guys just cheated better. Now, they all got caught and their reputation's a bit ruined, but they all made a ton of money.
I don't know if they got caught necessarily, but.
Well, I guess, I would argue.
It was all alleged. They went on Capitol Hill, Raphael Palmeiro was saying there's another guy, Palmeiro.
Yeah.
So, all right, so you got the top.
I'm putting juice guys back in.
You named A-Rod, that's number 4.
Yeah.
So you got a few more.
I don't have, back to the original list. Back to the list. Are we going old school? Or are we going
it's all time? So it should be.
How about Reggie Jackson? Did he make anything?
No, Reggie did not.
Are we going? Let's see.
I mean, one of the greatest home run hitters of all time.
Ted Williams. He getting anything?
He didn't get that many.
Mickey Mantle. Hank Aaron, obviously. I would imagine.
No, Hank Aaron's not. Hank Aaron was consistent over time.
30, right. 40 over 20.
I'll give you.
So I got the top 4.
I'll give you the rest.
How many would you have gotten?
If I thought about it, probably 2 of these.
Okay.
So number 5 is Jimmy Fox.
Okay.
From 1932 to 36. Didn't expect him to get that one.
Yeah.
Hit 58 home runs though. Babe Ruth.
Wow,
from 27 to 31.
Yeah.
He hit 60 on 54 the next year.
Yeah.
Mike Trout.
He doesn't get a whole lot of love.
Mike Trout from 2015 to 2019.
That's incredible.
How
many did he hit?
210 over that time frame.
Okay. So it falls off quite a bit.
41 and 15, 29, 33, 39, 45.
Okay.
Number 8, Justin Upton with 210 over a 5-year period.
That's incredible. I
in
never got him.
2006, he hit 13. Then he hit 26, 35, 26, 31.
Wow.
And then Ryan Howard, obviously had the big 58 home run year.
Should have got that one probably.
And then the last one on the list was Albert Pujols.
That's another one though. There's a lot of rumors going around.
Actually, you know what? These numbers are way out of whack. I didn't check the numbers.
Are they right or wrong?
So no, the numbers are right, but they're out of order. So Pujols
okay.
have 255. Yeah. This just put it 10.
Yeah. I mean, there are rumors about Albert Pujols' age. I mean, there's so many. There's rumors about him. There's all these different rumors about guys. I just don't think you can keep guys out of the Hall of Fame because of
no.
Maybe even and let's just say for certain guys, I mean, it's factual like Roger Clemens. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was a test guy. Barry Bonds was supposed to be a test guy. Obviously, Ralphie came back. Palmeiro, test guy. Yeah. But all those guys were in that area playing against other guys that were juicing.
Sons at NC State,
Yeah, it was. And so all those guys should be in the Hall of Fame. And because the reality is they're doing all they can to compete.
So
within the bounds of the rules.
The other thing you touched on earlier, steroids help you recover faster.
Yeah.
They help you hit the ball further. They help you throw harder, that sort of thing. But you still have to have the skill.
Yeah.
You could get. You could give somebody steroids. Right, that doesn't mean they're going to go hit home run. There was a lot of guys on steroids who weren't hitting.
That's right.
30, 40.
I think a great example of somebody that it truly helped. Because here's what happens, I think. You take a ball that's 1 in track or 10 or 15 feet, and then it gets over the fence. That's Brady Anderson's year. That he goes from a 20 home run guy to a 50 home run guy.
15 home run guy.
Maybe a 15 home run guy to a 50. And so I think that's one of those things where it's, and even the positive side effects from aggressive, from mentally feeling good. Because how many days did you actually feel good when you played? Now, you were a starter, so it's maybe different.
Still a little different, yeah.
But I would say, they used to tell us, 10 or 15% of the time you're going to feel good.
Yeah.
10 or 15% of the time you're going to feel really bad. And then that time in between, you're going to feel some variation.
You're somewhere in the middle.
And so I think it does make you feel bad. I'm not saying it didn't have an impact. I'm just saying it's time to let the guys in.
So I'm going to get back to the ballot now. And so Billy Wagner's on the list. It's his 10th year on the list. He's at 73.8% last year. So the numbers.
How many guys are voting?
288, something like that.
And they're all baseball writers.
Baseball Writers Association. Yeah. But so here's the thing. Billy Wagner pitched in the heart of the steroid era. Threw up some amazing numbers. 903 innings pitched, 422 saves, 2.31 ERA, whip rate at 1. So 903 innings, 1,196 strikeouts. So it's 11.9 per 9 innings. So if he's in this, and again, I mean, maybe Bill Wagner, I don't know, I can't call that, but he's never been rumored.
No.
But I think if you look at those numbers, and then that gets me to so there's 8 relievers in the Hall of Fame right now. So it's Hoyt Wilhelm, Goose Gossage, Riley Fingers, Lisa, Mo Rivera, Trevor Hoffman, and Bruce Sutter. Right? And so Hoyt Wilhelm, Goose Gossage, Riley Fingers, and Bruce Sutter were all.
Did Trevor Hoffman get in just off the changeup? I mean, I know that was his pitch.
Best changeup of all time, maybe, right? But no, 601 saves. I believe that's second on the
So essentially, you got to judge him by saves, right? How many does Wagner have? How many saves?
Billy Wagner has 422.
So I don't know what the cutoff would be, right?
So
because you think about the home runs.
They talk about the 400. They talk about the 400
about the 500
for saves. They talk about the 400 club. Is what So there's been a handful with 400.
So 400 with
so Lee Smith has 478, Billy Wagner 422, Mo Rivera 652, Craig Kimbrell, who should be coming up soon, 412.
He's still playing, isn't he?
He just had a terrible year this year.
But I mean, he was just he was. I thought
he gave up more earned runs this year than he had like in 5 years.
So you just like that one, but
Kenley Jansen 415, K-Rod who's on the ballot 437. Joe Nathan 377, and then there's a couple of them 300s. But so 400 is tough to get. And some of that is, all right. Are you on a good team, right?
For sure, because you got to be ahead to get a save.
You got to be. So that helps Mo Rivera being on the 90s and 2000s.
I would say that he
was also wildly dominant.
I mean, you do have to do it, right? But I would say, I mean, how many saves does a good closer have in a year?
I think 40 is like the benchmark.
So we're saying 40 a year over 10 years. That's pretty consistent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Originally, in my mind, I feel like Hall of Fame, and maybe I put it too high on a pedestal, but Billy Wagner was not that, right? But when you start hearing stats, which baseball is a stat sport, you start thinking about, ultimately, is it an accumulation of stats, or was he really dominant in this time frame?
Yeah,
and he was definitely dominant for a certain amount of years. I just don't know if it was.
Yeah, his numbers were great, man.
I just don't. Again, when I think of Hall of Fame, I think about guys that were truly the best of the best for a long period of time. I think guys that were leaving.
I think he was that guy. It's just
he may be.
I think relievers are starting to get a little more. Probably more respect, especially in today's game.
Right.
So let's fast forward 20 years, right?
Okay.
Are we gonna start throwing middle relievers in there, short guys, because those guys are wildly valuable now. They're super valuable.
Well, and I think it's going to be interesting because the game's changed. It's the same way that the game changed from with the steroids. I think the kids are getting so much better. Matter of fact, I saw today a high school kid who's committed to go to Texas.
Okay.
Hit a 577-foot home run.
Is that good?
That feels pretty special. Pretty special. And so, first of all, everybody's developing the games and the technology.
And the bats are better.
Right. And definitely the wood's better. I mean, nobody uses ash anymore. Everybody's maple. And so, I think you can only go by, that's the reason 10 years I think is way too long. 5 years needs to be kind of max.
5 years on the ballot?
5 years on the ballot.
Okay.
Needs to be max.
So I'm gonna mark off. So we both got A-Rod and Manny in.
Juice or no juice?
Oh, we're going Billy Wagner's in.
I guess we have to.
Only half and half?
No. I mean, I kind of think, and not that we have to agree, but I kind of think you have to, because if you're saying 40 is a good year, he did that over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I kind of think you got to know their name, right? Because if I know Billy Wagner's name, and I kind of am a baseball guy, but nowhere close to what you are. Obviously, I played, but as far as a fan, you're truly a student of the game. I'm more of a kind of a fan. I watch games, but not, So I would say Billy Wagner is in. I mean, obviously he's close. I think it's so dumb how you just kind of work your level up. Hey, I'm going to vote for you this year. I didn't vote for you last year because I didn't vote for you 5 years ago because I didn't feel like
this or that. Yeah, and there's some writers who historically have not.
So we're going Billy in.
So Billy.
Yeah.
Andrew Jones, I think his
I've got to be in. Yeah, his numbers completely match up.
Great. I pull up here. He's one of 6 outfielders with 10 or more Gold Gloves. The others are Roberto Clemente and Willie Mays, Ken Griffey Jr., Al Kaline, and Ichiro.
And they're all no-brainers.
Yeah.
And Ichiro's on this ballot, and he's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Generational talent, 10 Gold Gloves, 400 career home runs. The others to have 10 Gold Gloves, 400 career home runs, Willie Mays, Mike Schmidt, Ken Griffey Jr.
And they were no-brainers. And he's a no-brainer, too. I think he may be a little bit of
So why is he not just like right in? Do you think? What's the?
I don't know if there's rumors of steroid use. He
hit 51 home runs, led the league for a year. Here's the thing that indicates to me he wasn't a steroid guy. You look at his numbers, and it's the very traditional.
Yeah, and that's probably the case.
And then it dips down, right? Like he's.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't say
his body starts breaking down.
And he's got a kid right now who can really swing it, and he has got arms the size of my wrist and still juicing balls. So there's something to knowing how to use the body.
So there we go. We had a handful of those guys. A couple of guys just to make mention of right here. So Chase Utley. I don't think he's there. So I got to play against Chase Utley in 2003. He was in Scranton and I was in Pawtucket. He in that league, for me, he was the toughest out. I felt like anything I threw there, he was going to put a barrel on it.
Right.
Quick,
but
compact swing, not a big guy, long lead, but had some pop.
Yeah.
But he was going to hit the ball at every part.
Second baseman too.
Solid defender.
And we haven't dug into it. It'd be curious, like Hall of Famers that are second baseman.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, my guy Ryan Sandberg.
Probably Roberto Alomar Jr.
Robbie Alomar's in there. Yeah. But I think Chase just didn't get the numbers. He had some injury years and that sort of thing. The other one that's interesting on a couple of them, right? So Omar Vizquel. So defensively,
no question,
one of the best ever. Offensively, okay.
Right.
Look at some more of the advanced metrics defensively.
Right.
Wasn't as good. So Ozzie Smith is
the gold standard.
The gold standard, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Omar didn't hit those metrics.
Right.
So I don't. He's one of those guys. I think you can talk me into it, or maybe you don't want to talk me into it. I don't know.
No. I just didn't feel like. I always felt like he was solid, and I don't think solid is what Hall of Fame is. Solid and really good for 10, 12, 13 years isn't Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way about Billy Wagner, even though he probably deserves it based on what you told me stat-wise.
Yeah.
But just being really solid doesn't feel like Hall of Famer, and he was more than solid. I mean, he was with the Indians right as I was coming through the organization, and he was and he was. I saw him field. It was something different. You know, it's almost, like I don't know. The way he worked through the ball and the way his feet worked were special. But I just think being really solid. And do championships matter, right? Because I bet his stats probably didn't hit quite as many home runs, but I wonder how different his stats are than like Jeter.
They're not close.
They're not close?
No. So I got a Vizquel versus Ozzie Smith comparison.
Okay. Yeah.
And Ozzie Smith was never known as a hitter, and their numbers are pretty close.
Okay.
Let's see what we got. Vizquel 272 career, 80 home runs, 2,800 hits. I mean, but he was around for 20 years. Yeah. 449 doubles, 56 triples, 272 career average, 80 home runs. I mean, short point real solid, but not.
I just don't think, you think about and you recognize this, when you're coming out as a position player, it's all about 5 tools, right? If you have 1 or 2 of those tools, you can get to the big leagues. 5-tool guys are what Barry was at one time. That's what A-Rod was, juice or no juice. And then you can be really special, like a Manny who really has, 2 of those tools, which is hit for power, hit for average, and then figure out the rest of it. And even Ortiz, right? Ortiz, Hall of Famer, right? And he's a 2-tool guy, hit for average, hit for power. Yeah. And definitely not known for his defense. And so, unfortunately...
Did he play defense,
yeah. Unfortunately, I think you have to... and maybe it's on me. Offense and generating runs is how you win games. And obviously, you can argue that he was stopping runs from, so winning games that way.
Yeah, that's the old argument.
But I just don't think solid gets you to the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But, Ozzie... I bet if you went to advanced metrics as far as run saves and as far as
Ozzie Smith is way off the chart. His is way off the charts. So Omar, Al, Chase Utley, Omar. I think Bobby Abreu, a good solid player. Yeah. When Winter Ball 03, I was in Venezuela. Number 53 was by far the most popular jersey.
Oh, because of him.
People love Bobby Abreu down there. So means a lot to the folks, the people in Venezuela. Jimmy Rollins, MVP, solid player, but again, the numbers don't.
There is something to longevity, right? It's being dominant, and I don't know if All-Star sometimes becomes a popularity contest.
All-Star,
but
I don't think has any. Yeah.
But there is something to it. If you're 10 or 12 all-time All-Star.
They say like Hank Aaron or Willie Mays passed away, he was like a 24-time All. Because back in the day,
but
they
he
played 2 All-Star
probably
games.
yeah, that's true. But he probably deserved it 20 of them.
Absolutely.
And then his name got him a couple of them.
Well, I think about like Cal Ripken towards the end of his career. He probably didn't.
No, but
Yeah.
you play that many games in a row. And,
Yeah. So the last couple on the list here for people who have been voted, not their first time. So Andy Pettit is one that's
I think
really
he's
interesting.
100% juice. I mean, as far
I
as
think
got
he
bought.
meditated. Yeah, he meditated,
I think,
So he's in his 7th year. He's only got 13.5% of the.
I think his stats. I think if he doesn't get popped with juice, he's probably borderline.
So career 3.85 ERA in predominantly the American League East, which was a really tough division. And he played for the Astros for a while there as well, right?
Yeah.
3,300 innings pitched, 2,400 strikeouts. For ERA, 3.85 ERA said that. So 3.85 is
feels hot. I mean, solid.
but again, he's in the heart of the steroid era,
Yeah.
right? So do those.
You almost have to credit him for that,
Yeah.
right?
But his peers are guys like Pedro
and Pedro clearly was in, and Pedro clearly didn't look like he hit the ball. He may have hit something else, but he didn't.
Yeah.
He didn't. His body did not look like he had
No.
the juice.
And so Pettit, I think, is probably a no for me. Yeah. And then the other one we just mentioned was K-Rod, right? So he's in his 3rd year, but only 7.8% of the vote.
I think it does.
437 saves. That's.
So if you put Billy Wagner in, you really should put him in.
I think K-Rod's got to be in. Because when he came up, he was dominant.
He was lights out.
And then he bounced around at the
But
end.
I think part of it is reputation, right? And part of it is it kind of does become a popularity contest. I mean, I think Billy Wagner ultimately was more popular, but K-Rod.
When he came up with the Angels in the 02
And he had probably 3 or 4 years were really, really, really good. But there were years where he was just okay. And I think ultimately it is. I mean, honestly, you could probably argue that if Billy Wagner gets in, he should get in. But
I agree.
So
time will tell. So right now we're.
Would you vote for him?
Based on the stuff I just said about Billy Wagner, I guess I have to. Yeah, I'd have to do a little deeper dive, but 3 years in, 7.8%. He's not trending well.
No.
For K-Rod, but
again,
he was,
popularity contest.
so again in Venezuela, he was also wildly popular that fall of 03, winter of 03, because he just won the World Series.
Yeah.
So that was really cool to see. A couple guys that are on the list: Torrey Hunter's 5th year.
Love him.
But solid. Tigers twins. And then David Wright, similar, I think, just good, solid ball player.
Didn't we talk? Wasn't Ichiro on this list?
So first year candidates.
Okay.
So those are guys who have been
on it.
It. So now we're going back. So first year candidates, each year a no brainer.
Do you think? Why are we trying to distinguish levels of Hall of Fame? Do we need to have first ballot Hall of Famer? Why do we have to have first ballot? I'm not voting for him the first time. And it's like, dude, if you get in, if you're going to get in, if you deserve to be in, actually, I think 5 years is plenty long.
Yeah.
Ichiro's a no-brainer. Should be in first ballot. If he's not, second ballot. The baseball writers seem to want to separate Hall of Fame and have first ballot Hall of Famers as something that's super special.
Jr.,
right. And then you have everybody else. And to me, maybe he is that first ballot. I don't like the...
So 4,367 career hits, 262 hits in a season, the Major League Baseball record, 10 consecutive seasons of 200 hits.
And obviously you go back to Pete Rose and you think about that many hits, and what a shame he never got there.
And rest in peace, Petey. I think he's
considering how much baseball is making on gambling. Gambling is everywhere.
Yeah, that's a different episode.
Circle.
That's a whole different episode.
It's full circle. I mean, what a clown hypocritical. You know,
I got lots of feelings on that. We'll talk about that at another time. So, all right, so Ichiro's in. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We voted for 5 so far.
I'm going to take my name off of Wagner because I can't vote K-Rod in. I'm going to take my name off of Wagner.
So you're going no closers then?
Yeah, we need, Roger with the juice back in there, and then we're good.
So
right? If we got Roger on the juice when he's throwing bats at Piazza, we're good. Yeah, we don't have to worry about it. So I cannot put K-Rod in there. And honestly,
with the clear heart and clear mind, K-Rod and
Billy Wagner. And again, everybody. There's 1,000 people, millions of people that wish they had their careers, but but it's K-Rod just wasn't it.
So we're split on Billy Wagner. Okay. All right. So a couple other guys. Some of the guys on the bottom of this list who probably just straight no. Fernando Rodney.
No, I don't
solid close. Had the old bow and arrow.
I don't think you get in because of cool. I mean, like if you get in for like actions now, they're out of control, bro. I mean, how many people would have got hit if the home runs would have been pimped? The way they were, the way they are now.
I gave up a lot of home runs.
Personally. I mean, you'd have hit guys if they would have been just standing there,
I don't remember
looking at it, shooting it.
Yeah, most guys.
Kissing at it as they go down the line. You'd have been pegging guys.
All of mine were wall scrapers, though. None of them were no doubt.
Got you. No doubters.
No. Carlos Gonzalez, good
Great
for the
player,
Rockies. Brian McCann.
I don't know. Catchers get a little bit different. I don't know. I mean, he played a long time. A really good player.
262 career average.
It doesn't feel like it, but their standards are different.
282 home runs. So
would you have voted for him? Like
Brian McCann? No.
Yeah, I mean,
some of my litmus tests is like, God, was he like? If I got a pack of cards, would I be like stoked about Brian McCann as a kid? Probably not.
Nah.
I wouldn't put him in like the good pile. I'm reserving that for Barry Bonds, and he's the king of after that. But Adam Jones with the Orioles,
good player.
Say Russell Martin, another catcher, good career,
good player.
Hanley Ramirez, I honestly wouldn't even consider him.
I'm surprised. I mean, he had some 3 or 4 really good years.
Yeah. 271. I'm old school. I think I'm about like I go to home runs, RBIs, average, and I know there's more to it these days. I actually pitched against Hanley in 03 in spring training. He was a huge prospect for the Red Sox. I think he was like top 5 prospects in all of baseball.
Yeah.
And I remember because I got him to a full count.
He looked pretty long.
He was long, strong. Yeah. I threw him a 3-2 slider.
Did you get him?
God, struck him out.
Yeah.
Just chalked him out. Put him in the book.
So he's definitely not making the Hall of Fame.
No, if I struck him out, Chase Utley probably
should be, yeah. But Chase, obviously...
Curtis Granderson, one of my favorite fantasy players to have, just triples, home run, did it all.
I don't necessarily do fantasy baseball.
But Curtis Granderson had it's a pretty big move.
Yeah,
it's a lot of stuff.
Guys are sitting out.
Let's see, 344 home runs. I think he had a ton of bags. 153.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, good player.
Yeah,
you can't play him.
Yeah,
there's too many.
All right, so here's a couple more. Ben Zobrist, Troy Tulowitzki. I think Tula. Any Rockies player kind of gets a. Well, unless you're like Todd Helton or Larry Walker.
Yeah, those two.
Tulo never was that. So here's the guys that are remaining on the first year list. So CC Sabathia. Well, I'm all in on CC, and I you know why.
Yeah.
So came up with the Tribe.
Yeah.
Really good. Had some good teams.
I mean, I think he had such really good, chunks.
Dude, he's a workhorse, though, dude. You know what you're getting every year.
I guess, but it's I don't know, man. So he never made me feel the way, I was watching Pedro Martinez. I would feel like...
I think they went head to head a few times in the playoffs. So
I don't know. That may
early
be
2000s.
It may be me misremembering, but he just
doesn't
make me feel the same, right? I mean, the things how's his stats? I mean, you compare him to Pettit.
Let's see. This print is too small for my eyes. I should have 3.74 ERA.
Yeah.
251 wins to Pettit's 256, so less wins.
Yeah.
Little lower whip.
We don't even know what whip means.
Way more strikeouts. 600 more strikeouts.
Right.
And
he may have had
pitched 3,300 for Pettit, and 3,400 for. So just a little more.
They're not really.
They're not that far off, but
Much of a
for me.
different player.
So here, and you know this for me, being a Brewers farmhand and still following the Brewers. So CC Sabathia, when he got traded to the Brewers that one year,
Yeah, he dominated.
So I typed in like what was that? So 2008, July 7th to October 1st, 11-2,
Pretty special.
1.65 ERA,
Yeah.
threw 130 innings, struck 128 guys, walked 28, 3 complete games, 1 shutout. Guys hit 2.8 against him.
Right.
Just put the Brewers on his back.
Yeah,
there's
no
like
question.
a 2 days rest.
Yeah, there's no question.
It was
that
just amazing.
If you could make it off of 3 months,
So that's
no
the other
brainer.
thing. Like,
and probably 3 month chunks. He
Yeah.
seemed like every year he would go through like chunks of the year where he was really good, and then he would kind of lull, and then he would be really good again. And but again, great career. He's not that different than Andy Pettit to me.
I'm all that's fair. The numbers are pretty
But
comparable.
obviously a lot more strikeouts. But I don't know. I mean, if you're getting an out versus a strikeout, is a strikeout that much more impressive? I mean, you can argue from a pitch count standpoint, strikeouts really.
People love strikeouts now more than ever.
Because I guess if you don't put it in play, you can't.
So here's actually one more guy we missed on the current ballot, not the first year. Carlos Beltran.
I liked it a lot. Man, that swing was so flat.
Beautiful,
None of this, you know.
But he played a long time, and that's all right.
And that probably hurt him.
Is
a
he a
little bit.
compiler or is he a?
I think he's definitely a compiler. I liked him as a player because that's kind of right in our prime where you try to find guys that you like.
When I look at his numbers, and there's no vault. He never led the league in anything. He was the rookie of the year with Kansas City,
which is awesome.
But he was in MVP voting a few times. A bunch of All-Star games.
I kind of think if you, again, really good player, he would be just out for me. You know, he's on that tier with a lot of these guys. He's probably at the top of the tier of a lot of those guys you mentioned. And then you got Carlos Beltran. You know, that kind of player is.
Yeah. And so the other couple guys left on this year's list. So Ian Kinsler, who.
Great player or good player.
Yeah, I don't feel like he's in there. So the one for me, Felix Hernandez. All right, so
he had a very tight window.
You're playing outfield in a big league game. Do you want CC Sabathia, Andy Pettit, or Felix Hernandez starting that game for you?
Depends on if CC's with the Brewers, I want CC. I mean, there's no question. I mean,
in the best.
When they're at their best, that's what's so hard, right? Because if you go when they're at their best,
Pettis probably the third of those guys.
Yeah,
he has the least dominating stuff.
But very, very, very good stuff. Felix, at least for maybe a 4 or 5 year period, was maybe the best of those guys.
Yeah. And he was notoriously like very low run support. I think he won the Cy Young with like 11 or 12 wins.
Yeah, and he's about 500. Which,
he was like 12-9 or something.
You know, wins and losses I think do matter, right? But I also don't think you can necessarily control it. So I'm going. I keep him on the ballot another year. Whatever you got to get to keep on the ballot. I don't know. Maybe there's no minimum. Maybe all these guys.
It's his first year,
right?
King Felix there.
But for 4 or 5 years, he was pretty special.
I'm in on Felix.
So you're in on Felix?
He's dominated, dude. He was so good.
So look at his numbers real quick. I mean, again, maybe it's during. Let's go ERA. I feel like it's what you can go to, right?
Where is that? So 2,700 innings, 2,500 strikeouts.
Anytime you're close to
3.42 ERA.
So better
almost
than
half a run less.
Yeah.
In a very pitcher-friendly ballpark.
And pitcher-friendly. I mean,
he threw a perfect
hitter-friendly.
Threw a perfect game.
Yeah. I would King Felix for a time. I would have to dig into his stats. Clearly.
Right, so here's the last one. I think this one's a really interesting one. Dustin Pedroia.
Man, I mean, a guy you want on your team if you're starting a team, because a guy 5'7", 5'8", gives everything out of his body, does everything that helps you win games.
A Boston
Yeah,
legend, right? Couple World Series.
But man, I don't know. I would have to look at stats. I mean, it's one of those guys.
So just,
for me,
just from your gut, your gut, what your
gut tells you want him in, but you know, I'm afraid I would say in. All of a sudden, you'd read out his stats, and they'd be horrendously bad. And then it's
so
like
140 home runs.
And that's not great.
So Kinsler, who we just dismissed,
easily
250, 257. WAR, Kinsler 54.1, Pedroia 51.9. Right. RBIs 725 for Pedroia, 909 for Kinsler.
Wow. So clearly
batting average
pretty close.
PD 299 and Kinsler 269.
It'd be
he needed to talk to the scorekeeper about changing a hit to an error to a hit to get him to that 300 mark.
Yeah, that would have been the way to go.
So 299 solid, and solid defender.
I would say though, if you ended up in a situation where, I don't know, man, it'd be. I mean, baseball is all about stats, but if you had like just a clutch stat. And I'm sure some nerd somewhere has looked at it and been like, you know, hey, runners on second, down by 2, 7th inning or later.
Yeah.
What's this guy hit? And I would be curious.
If we were better at this, we probably
would have had that.
Where's our team at?
I mean, we got people walking by. I feel like somebody should have done this already. But it would be, yeah, so I feel like he was.
That's one of those things.
And
it's your team.
it becomes a popularity contest because you had guys like him that were really, really good on a really good team that did things that Boston
he was the face of that franchise for a decade. Like so, he followed Nomar.
Left money on the table too. I think he retired and still had years on the contract and was banged up and it's like, hey, I can't play.
So we're out on Pedroia then.
But you really have to be if. I mean, I leave these guys on the ballot. I don't know what changes. I guess I'm as bad as the writers. Yeah, because you got guys that you like and feel like almost should be on it, and then you got guys that you think are really good players that got better stats than the guys that you like, right? So that's your conflict. So yeah, I mean, based on what they're showing, I would probably have to have him out. But man, he was so good for so many years.
Yeah, and I think the clutch component's a big part.
It feels like a leader, right? And so we coach 13U baseball.
Yep.
There's certain guys, and a lot of times this is one of your better players, but not always, that kind of control the emotions of the team. And he felt like one.
You see that even like in the minor leagues, right? It's really. So I played with 2004. We had Prince Fielder, Ricky Weeks, and Tony Gwynn Jr. on the team. Guy named Brad Nelson was on the team.
Right.
All really solid dudes. Right. And everybody wanted Prince and Ricky and Tony's signatures and stuff. And Tony does color commentator for the San Diego Padres now. Right. Really outgoing. He was that guy. Prince was a little more reserved.
Right. Came from baseball family.
But just a little more reserved. But Prince's leadership was on the field. Like, if he saw you doing things the right way, he had your back.
Right.
Like, he was the first, if there was a fight, he was the first guy to deck somebody for you. Like, loved how hard he played. But he wasn't the vocal guy, right? But fans, they looked at him as probably like the lead or this. I mean, it's Huntsville, like nobody knows, but and then Ricky Weeks
is there to so
and Ricky, that was, I think he went from like the draft to AA basically,
right?
And he was just trying to feel things out. So, and he's obviously coaching a bench coach for the Brewers now,
right?
Doing great things and played for a long time. So, but I remember him being kind of quiet and reserved, and then kind of bloomed a little as the season progressed. But again, there was guys like me who had been around for 9 years. Right. Who, like, at that point, kind of saw the writing on the wall.
Right,
it was like,
I'm relieving.
But I was running like the kangaroo court and stuff like that in the clubhouse, and so there's always guys in the maybe it's Dustin Joy who's keeping things loose. You know, I just watched the special on the 04 Red Sox. Like, Kevin Millar was kind of the heartbeat of that team.
Oh, so yeah, probably more so. Yeah,
and you would think like probably not Kevin Millar would be your first. You know?
No, and I feel like that's what's interesting about building teams exclusively on analytics, right? You cannot do that because there's something to
What a baseball guy.
You know, baseball guy, something too like emotionally tough to, you know, no nonsense guys. You ain't all got to be best friends, but you got to be held accountable at times, right? Because you know you're young men or whatever the case may be, especially as you're working your way up. But yeah, I mean, again, a guy that your heart tells you he should be, right? But stats tell you otherwise, and I think you got to have both, right?
So
It's almost
Pedroia's on the fence. We're on. All right, so we got definites.
Yeah.
Andrew Jones.
Yeah.
A-Rod and Manny.
Yeah, that's my only three.
Ichiro.
Oh yeah, I guess that one too. Yeah, 4.
And Felix.
Felix probably should be. Yeah, I got.
And you're not in with CC or Billy Wagner.
Not yet. Let's see.
Not
You're right. I mean, Billy.
And he being the pitcher, and I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah. So I would
Screw
go. I would probably go.
And I would go Chase Utley because he dominated my life for
and
a couple weeks.
I love Chase because of his swing, small guy that created juice. But I would definitely not be able to be in completely with
the pitchers.
Felix. I mean with K-Rod.
K-Rod. Okay.
But King Felix, I'm in with.
Okay. All right. Well, that's gonna. I think that's gonna wrap up episode 1. I think we did it.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with more.
Once a week, dude. We're doing it. Paul's got no hobbies other than kids.
I got no kids or coaches or anything else going on in my life.
I'm doing this once a week.
Okay, we're making it happen.
Right,
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, click a button, do something. Go find us.
Yeah. Go Pack.
We're out.